The rest stop on Route 46, sir. The empty parking lot. It was just past midnight when Lena Carter, 27, pulled into the Route 46 rest area in Pennsylvania. Her phone GPS had lost signal 15 miles back, and the next gas station wasn't for another hour. She needed coffee and a bathroom break. The rest stop was almost empty. One flickering streetlight cast an orange hue over cracked asphalt. A semi-truck idled in the corner, engine rumbling low. Lena parked near the restroom building, clutching her keys between her fingers the way her mom had taught her. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed. The vending machines hummed. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and stale coffee, but something felt off. The women's restroom door was propped open with a small trash can. From inside came a faint sound. Not running water, not footsteps, but breathing, slow, steady breathing. "Hello?" she called softly, peeking around the corner. No one answered. The stalls were all empty. As she turned to leave, she caught a glimpse of something in the mirror, a man's figure standing directly behind her. She spun around, heart pounding, but the restroom was empty. Only the faint echo of that slow breathing lingered, fading into the hum of the lights above. The stranger in the mirror back at her car, Lena tried to shake it off. She locked her doors, started the engine, and took a sip of lukewarm coffee. In her rearview mirror, she saw movement near the building, a tall man walking toward the truck. He wore a dark hoodie, his face hidden in shadow. She wasn't sure why, but something about him felt wrong. He moved slowly, too slowly, head tilted as if listening for something. Then he stopped mid-walk and turned his head directly toward her car. Lena froze. The man didn't move. He just stood there, staring, even as the semi-truck pulled out and disappeared down the highway. She blinked, and he was gone. But when she looked at the rearview mirror again, his reflection was still there, standing behind her car, closer. She turned in panic and the lot was empty. But her mirror showed him walking toward her again. She covered the mirror with her hand and heard a faint tap on her rear windshield, once, twice. Then a whisper, so close it felt like it came from inside the car. "Don't look back." The missing couple Lena sped off, her tires squealing against the pavement. Her heart thundered as the headlights cut through the empty highway. A few miles later, she spotted flashing lights up ahead, a state trooper car. Relief flooded her chest. She pulled over, breathless. "Officer, there's someone back there, at the rest area. He's following me." The trooper frowned. "Route 46 rest area? That's been closed for months." "What?" "No, I was just..." He shook his head. That place shut down after the Carter couple disappeared. They found their car running, doors open. No sign of either of them. Lena froze. "Carter?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah, Mark and Lena Carter." Her mouth went dry. "That's my name." The trooper leaned closer, his flashlight trembling slightly. "Miss, are you sure you came from there?" But when he looked toward the direction she'd come, the road was gone. Only endless black forest and a fog that swallowed the light whole. The return to the rest stop. The trooper insisted on checking. They drove back toward where the rest area should have been. But as they approached, Lena's phone started ringing. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Lena," a voice whispered, a man's voice. "You left too soon." The line went dead. The trooper shone his flashlight where the rest stop had been. There was nothing but cracked pavement and weeds growing through the asphalt. No building, no lights, no vending machines, just silence. Then the flashlight flickered, and for a split second Lena saw the building again. The orange glow. The restroom door, and her own car had parked right where she'd left it, except someone was sitting inside. Her reflection, staring out from behind the wheel, face pale, eyes wide. The officer's call the next morning, dispatch received a strange call from Trooper Jensen. His voice shook through static. "I found her car," he said. "It's been here for weeks. No sign of her." They recovered the vehicle, engine long dead, a half-empty coffee cup still in the holder. Inside, the rearview mirror had words scratched into it with something sharp. "Don't look back." But that night, when Jensen reviewed his dashcam footage, he saw something he couldn't explain. A figure walking along the road. It was Lena, or someone who looked exactly like her, barefoot, clothes soaked, staring directly into the camera. And behind her, a man in a dark hoodie followed, his reflection visible in every passing sign, but not in the lens itself. The new rest stop today, Route 46's rest area, has been reopened, modernized, with bright LED lights and new security cameras. But truckers still whisper about the girl in the mirror. Some say if you stop there past midnight, your rearview mirror will fog up, and someone will breathe just behind your seat. Others swear they've seen her walking along the exit ramp, barefoot, whispering, "Don't look back." Last year, a tourist's dash cam captured a blurry image. A woman staring from the restroom door, her reflection perfectly clear in the mirror beside her, but her body casting no shadow. The footage was deleted hours later. When police checked the rest stop security feed, it froze at 12:03 a.m., the timestamp of Lena Carter's disappearance. The woman at exit 47. The late drive-it was 2:13 a.m. when Ethan Carver, a long-haul trucker from Indiana, pulled into the rest area off I-70 near Terre Haute. The night was thick and moonless, the only light coming from flickering sodium lamps that buzzed like insects. His dashboard clock glowed faint green, marking the 5th hour since his last stop. He was exhausted, but not enough to risk falling asleep at the wheel again. He parked near the restroom building. Only one other vehicle sat there, a white sedan, headlights off, engine idling softly. No driver in sight. Ethan frowned, cut the ignition and climbed down, boots crunching on gravel. The air smelled of wet asphalt and pine. Inside the restroom, the fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The men's room was empty, except for a half-open stall door swinging slowly back and forth. When he went to wash his hands, the sink sputtered before spitting out rusty water. That's when he heard it, a soft humming sound, low and tuneless, coming from outside. It wasn't from the radio or the vending machines. It was a woman's voice. Slow, almost hypnotic. He stepped out, scanning the parking lot. The white sedan's passenger door was open now. A woman in a pale blue nightgown stood beside it, staring into the woods. Her hair hung long and wet, as if she'd just climbed from a lake. When Ethan called out, she didn't move, not even a flinch. The humming stopped. Then, in the dark stillness, she slowly turned toward him and smiled. The vanished car. Ethan blinked. The woman was gone. The white sedan, too. Not a trace of tire marks, not even the hum of an engine fading into the night. The parking lot looked like it had before, empty except for his rig. He told himself it was fatigue, hallucination. He'd been driving for 16 hours straight. He took a caffeine pill, splashed cold water on his face, and climbed back into the truck. But when he turned the key, the headlights flashed across the tree line, and for a split second he saw her again, standing between the trees. Her gown fluttered as if caught in a breeze he couldn't feel. He threw the truck into drive and pulled out fast, the rear tires spitting gravel. The exit ramp curved back to the highway, and when he merged onto the open road, his hands were shaking so hard he could barely shift. A few miles later, a sign appeared in his headlights. Next rest area, 47 miles. He exhaled and reached for his coffee thermos and froze. There was a damp handprint on his passenger window. Small, feminine, smudged with dirt. The repeated route the next night, Ethan's dispatcher assigned him the same route. Terre Haute to Kansas City, straight through I-70 again. He laughed it off with the other drivers at the depot, even joked about his ghost girlfriend at exit 47. But as the night deepened and the road stretched empty under his headlights, unease returned. When the GPS voice calmly instructed, "Turn left to rest area exit 47, he hesitated. Then, almost against his will, he flicked on his blinker. The same rest stop appeared ahead. Same cracked pavement, same flickering light. His heart thudded as he noticed something new. A handwritten note pinned to the information board near the entrance. "If you see her, don't follow her." The ink had run from rain, but the warning was clear. Inside, the restroom mirror was shattered, spiderweb cracks catching the light. Someone had scratched words into the sink's metal rim. "She watches." He turned to leave, but heard footsteps. Bare feet slapping lightly against tile. Then that same humming, closer now. He ran out, but the air outside was still. The humming stopped. The woods were silent, until a whisper brushed past his ear. "You came back." The woman's story. Ethan stumbled back to his truck, locked the doors, and tried to calm his breathing. His radio crackled with static. Then a faint voice emerged, feminine and soft. Help me. The signal was weak, but the plea repeated. Over and over. Unable to stop himself, he followed it to an old emergency call phone near the picnic tables. Its receiver dangled by a cord, swinging slightly. He lifted it. "Who is this?" He demanded silence, then a whisper. "They left me here." His flashlight beam swept across the tree line. The outline of the woman's nightgown appeared again, luminous in the dark. This time she stepped closer. Her face was pale but human, her voice trembling. "I crashed here. My husband left to get help. I waited. I never made it out." She pointed to the woods. "He buried me there." Ethan swallowed hard. "Buried you?" She nodded slowly, then smiled that same eerie smile. "Find me." Then she was gone again, leaving only the faint smell of damp earth. The dig Ethan couldn't let it go. The next day he called the Indiana State Police and asked about missing persons near exit 47. The dispatchers sighed. "You're not the first trucker to ask. There was an accident there, 1994. Couple driving home from a wedding. The woman vanished after the crash. Never found." He returned that night with a flashlight and shovel from his cab. He knew it was insane, but the guilt, or maybe obsession, wouldn't let him rest. He walked to where she'd pointed. The forest floor was soft, muddy from recent rain. He dug for nearly 20 minutes before his shovel struck something solid. Wood. It wasn't a coffin. It was the trunk of a car. The white sedan crushed and half buried. Inside, through cracked glass, a skeleton in a torn nightgown slumped over the steering wheel. His light flickered. A whisper came from behind him. The same voice. "Thank you." He turned and saw her face inches from his. Only this time it was rotted, waterlogged, her eyes black pools of mud. The endless loop. The next morning, a highway patrolman found Ethan's truck idling near the rest stop. Door open, headlights still on. No driver. Only his logbook remained on the seat, the last entry scrawled shakily. "She's free now, but I'm not." A week later, another trucker pulled in around the same time of night. He saw a white sedan parked near the restroom, engine idling, headlights off. A man stood beside it, wearing a trucker's jacket with the name Patch E. Carver stitched over the pocket. When the new driver called out, the man slowly turned, his face pale and hollow-eyed. He pointed toward the trees and said in a low voice, "She's waiting." And when the driver blinked, both the man and the sedan were gone. The sign down the road now read, "Next Rest Area, 47 miles." Mile marker 182. The storm stop. The rain came down in thick, silver sheets as Lauren Bennett, a 27-year-old traveling nurse from Oklahoma, steered her blue Ford Fusion down I-40 toward Amarillo, Texas. The storm had rolled in fast, thunder cracking like gunfire across the plains. Her GPS kept losing signal, and visibility was down to a blur of red taillights and lightning. When the rest area sign appeared, mile marker 182, it felt like salvation. She turned in, tires hissing over the slick asphalt. Only one other car sat there, a rust-red pickup with its hazard lights blinking. The rest stop building looked old, almost abandoned, the fluorescent light above the women's restroom flickering in a slow, dying rhythm. Inside, the air smelled of bleach and mildew. The restroom stalls were clean but eerily silent. No hum of vending machines, no distant highway noise. Just the rain tapping the windows. She checked her phone, no service. Then from the far stall came a faint sound, like someone sobbing quietly. "Hello?" Lauren called, her voice echoing. No response. The crying stopped. She slowly bent down to look under the stall door. Two bare feet, pale and motionless, stood facing the wall. Lauren straightened quickly. "Are you okay?" she asked, knocking. The stall creaked open, empty. Only a wet footprint remained on the tile leading out the door. The visitor's log Lauren hurried outside, heart pounding. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. She spotted an old man standing near the vending machines, wiry frame, soaked jacket, and a reflective vest. His trucker hat was pulled low. "Rough night to be on the road," he said with a raspy chuckle. "Yeah," Lauren muttered, forcing a smile. "Hey, was anyone else here?" "I thought I heard someone crying in the restroom." The man's face went still. "Crying?" He stared toward the building. "They must have heard the wind. Happens a lot out here." He pointed to a small glass box on the wall beside the restroom door, a visitor's logbook yellowed with water stains. People sign that when the power goes out. It's how they track who's stopped here during storms. Curious, Lauren flipped it open. Most of the entries were months old. But one caught her eye, written in shaky black ink. Lauren Bennett, at 11:34 p.m., stuck in the rain. Her breath caught. She hadn't written it, she looked up. The old man was gone. His pickup truck too. Only the sound of rain returned, and the smell of something faintly metallic drifting from the woods. When she turned back to her car, a handprint gleamed on the driver's window, small, wet. The disappearing highway determined to leave. Lauren jumped in her car and sped out of the rest area. The storm had cleared, but something felt off. The air was thick, silent, the road unusually empty. Her headlights caught a road sign. Mile marker 182, rest area ahead. She blinked. That couldn't be right. She'd just left it. She drove faster, gripping the wheel until her knuckles whitened. 5 minutes later, the same sign appeared again, and then the same rest stop. Same flickering light, same rust-red pickup. Her phone buzzed to life. One new message. She opened it. Unknown number. Why'd you leave? The words made her stomach twist. She turned off the car and stepped out. The world was unnervingly quiet. A wet newspaper blew past her feet. Its headline, faint but legible, read, "Missing woman found at mile marker 182. The date? April 2018. Exactly 5 years ago tonight. The call for help panicking, Lauren ran inside the rest stop. The visitor's log still sat there. She flipped to the latest page. Her name now appeared 3 times. Same handwriting, same timestamp. She heard a faint ringtone echoing from the restroom. She followed it, trembling, and found an old flip phone on the sink. The screen read, "Incoming call unknown." She hesitated, then answered. A woman's voice whispered, "He won't let us leave." The line went dead. The mirror behind her fogged over, but only one word appeared written in the condensation. Run. The restroom lights flickered, then went dark. In the strobe of emergency lighting, she caught glimpses of movement, a shadow crawling across the floor, fast and jerky. Lauren bolted outside, but her car was gone. The highway beyond was gone. Only endless darkness surrounded the rest area now, as if the world itself had folded in, and from somewhere behind her came that same sobbing sound, closer this time. The keeper. The old man reappeared, standing beneath the broken lamp. His reflective vest gleamed faintly as he smiled. "You shouldn't have come back," he said. "What is this place?" Lauren demanded, voice trembling. He tilted his head. "Not a place anymore. Just what's left of one. They built a bypass, closed this stop years ago." Lightning flashed, and for a split second she saw faces behind him, dozens of them pale and hollow-eyed, watching from the glass of the vending machines. "They don't know they're gone," the old man continued softly. "Neither will you." He reached out a hand. His skin was cold, wet, not from rain but something deeper, older. Lauren stumbled backward, tripping over a broken signpost. When she looked up, the man was gone. But his voice echoed through the wind. "Mile marker 182 always keeps one more." The return at dawn. A highway patrol officer spotted a blue Ford Fusion parked along a closed exit near mile marker 182. The vehicle was covered in dust and pine needles. The license plate faded. Inside, the car was spotless, except for a single wet footprint on the dashboard. The keys were still in the ignition. The officer checked the system. Registration expired 5 years ago, under the name Lauren Bennett. Later that night, as a new storm rolled in, a passing trucker pulled into the reopened rest area. The power flickered on for the first time in years. Inside the restroom mirror, faint letters appeared through the fog. Lauren Bennett, 11:34 p.m., stuck in the rain. And outside, under the sodium light, a blue sedan idled, engine humming. Driver's seat empty, though the windshield wipers moved steadily, sweeping away a rain that wasn't falling. The woman in the restroom mirror. The empty rest stop, 300 words. It was past midnight when Lena Carter, a 27-year-old traveling alone from Denver to Kansas City, saw the glowing blue sign, "Rest area 1 mile." Her eyes burned from hours of driving, and her gas gauge had dipped dangerously low. The highway ahead was a black ribbon disappearing into the dark. The hum of cicadas and the distant rumble of trucks were her only company. She pulled into the rest area, a small concrete building surrounded by pine trees and buzzing sodium lights. Only one car sat parked near the edge, an old silver Honda with its trunk slightly open. Inside the building, the air was cold, heavy with that chemical cleaner smell. Lena entered the women's restroom. Flickering fluorescent lights made the tiled floor shimmer like water. The first 2 stalls were empty, but the third was closed. She hesitated, then shrugged and stepped into the first stall. The sound of her footsteps echoed unnaturally loud. As she washed her hands, she noticed something strange. The mirror reflection of the closed stall door was slightly open, though in real life it was shut tight. Her chest tightened. She turned slowly toward the stalls. Still closed. When she looked back at the mirror, the door in the reflection creaked wider, and a pale woman's face appeared in the gap, staring directly at her. Lena spun around. The stall was empty. No one there. But a low whisper floated through the air close enough to touch. "Don't drive tonight." She froze, heart hammering. Then the bathroom light flickered and went out. The warning, 300 words. Lena stumbled back, hands slapping at the wall until her phone flashlight flared on. The restroom was silent again. No woman, no whisper. Her breath came in short bursts, and she laughed nervously, convincing herself it was exhaustion. When she pushed open the door to leave, the night outside felt thicker, like the air had turned syrupy. She jogged to her car, glancing back once. The restroom lights flickered again, though she hadn't turned them on. She started her engine and checked the rearview mirror. Behind her, the old silver Honda's trunk was still ajar, but now a bare foot dangled out. She froze. "What the hell?" she whispered. Her phone had no signal. She debated calling the police once she got to the next town, but that whisper replayed in her mind. "Don't drive tonight." Ignoring it, she eased back onto the highway. 10 minutes later, the road ahead was swallowed in fog. Her high beams cut through it like blades, revealing nothing but white mist and the faint outline of reflectors. Then, from behind, headlights appeared. A car was tailing her closely. Too closely. The same silver Honda. Lena's pulse spiked. She pressed the gas. The Honda matched her speed perfectly. Its lights blinked once, twice, then went off completely. Her hands trembled on the wheel. The whisper returned, louder this time, as if from her back seat. "I told you not to drive tonight." The chase, 300 words. Lena screamed and swerved, nearly clipping the guardrail. She turned on her dome light. The back seat was empty. Heart pounding, she floored the accelerator. The fog thinned slightly, revealing a rest area sign she didn't remember passing before. Was she looping the same stretch of road? She looked in her mirror again. The Honda's lights flashed back on, and this time she saw the driver. A man, pale and expressionless, wearing what looked like a maintenance uniform. His mouth hung open, unmoving, like a doll. Lena's phone buzzed suddenly, a notification from unknown. You shouldn't have looked in the mirror. Her hands slipped on the wheel as she glanced at the text. When she looked up, the Honda was gone. She slowed, chest heaving. The radio flickered on, though she hadn't touched it. A woman's voice whispered through static, "Exit now." A green exit sign loomed ahead. Against every rational thought, she obeyed. The ramp led her to the same rest stop, same pine trees, same building, same silver Honda. Its trunk was still open, but now the foot was gone. The mirror woman, 300 words. Lena sat in her car, gripping the wheel so hard her knuckles turned white. She told herself it was an illusion. Fatigue, dehydration. But she couldn't ignore the metallic taste in her mouth, or the goosebumps rising along her arms. Something about the restroom's mirror tugged at her memory. She'd seen that woman's reflection and that whisper before. On a road trip with her mom years ago, they'd stopped at a rest area off this same stretch. Her mom had gone inside and never come back out. Police found no trace, only Lena's reflection crying in that mirror. She stepped out, forcing her legs to move toward the restroom again. The air was still. The buzzing light above the doorway hummed like static. Inside, everything looked normal, until she reached the sink. The mirror was wet, as if someone had pressed their face against it from the other side. "Who are you?" Lena whispered. The reflection didn't mimic her words. Instead, the woman in the mirror, hollow-eyed, identical to Lena, smiled faintly. "I already know." Then her reflection raised its hand, and the real mirror cracked. A long spidering line cut across the glass, bleeding dark liquid instead of light. Lena stumbled back, gasping. The whisper returned, layered, urgent. "He's here." The dead man's car. 300 words. Footsteps echoed outside, heavy, deliberate. Lena darted to the restroom window and peered out. The maintenance man from the Honda was standing near her car, his head tilted upward toward the window. He was holding a crowbar. She dropped low, trembling. The door creaked open behind her. Reflexively, she swung her flashlight, but it cut through empty air. Then the lights flickered and he was suddenly there, inches from her face, inside the restroom. His skin was gray, eyes clouded, uniform stained with dried blood. The name tag read D. Carter. Her breath caught. "Dad?" she whispered. He reached out a shaking hand, eyes rolling white. "Don't drive tonight," he rasped. Then his body collapsed, dissolving into black mist that seeped into the cracks of the mirror. The restroom went silent. Lena stumbled out, half sobbing, and rushed to her car. The silver Honda's trunk was closed now, but faint red smears marked its edge. She started her engine and drove off the exit, gasping for air, whispering, "I'm done, I'm done, I'm done." But her dashboard clock blinked 12 a.m. again, the same time she'd arrived earlier. The loop, 300 words, Lena drove for what felt like hours. The fog lifted, the road clearing beneath her tires. A relief washed over her, until she saw a familiar blue sign glowing in the distance. "Rest area, 1 mile." Her lips parted. "No, no, no, no," the radio flicked on again. A calm woman's voice, and her own, spoke through static. "You didn't listen. You never listen." She slammed the power button, heart racing. The rest area appeared ahead, identical down to the flickering light and silver Honda. The world around her seemed to glitch, colors dulling like an old videotape. This time, when she stopped, there was another Lena sitting in the car, frozen, staring straight ahead, face pale as ash. The version of Lena in the driver's seat turned toward her and mouthed something she couldn't hear. She leaned closer to the glass. "Don't drive tonight." The reflection smiled and the headlights flared and blinding white. When the light faded, the car was gone. Only the humming rest area remained, silent beneath the summer stars. Miles down the interstate, another traveler saw the sign, "Rest area, 1 mile," and turned in. The silver Honda was parked there, trunk open, waiting. The exit, 64 Shadow. The drive east, 300 words. The highway was nearly empty when Evan Michaels, 32, left Raleigh around 10:45 p.m. He was heading home to Wilmington after a late work shift, windows down to let the warm summer air fight off the hum of fatigue. The sky stretched black and endless, only broken by the orange glow of distant rest area signs. By the time he hit exit 64, his eyes were burning and his bladder was about to burst. The next gas station wasn't for another 30 miles, so he pulled into the small, dimly lit rest stop off the shoulder, one of those places that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 80s. There were 2 cars, a rusted pickup near the vending machines, and a white sedan idling with no one inside. Evan parked near the restroom and got out. The sound of cicadas swelled like static. The air smelled faintly of wet soil and gasoline. As he approached the restroom door, he noticed something odd. The shadow of a man cast against the concrete wall by the flickering light. Tall, still, hat brim low. But when Evan turned to look, there was no one standing there. He froze, glancing back at the wall. The shadow was still there, frozen in place. A sharp click echoed behind him. The restroom door swinging slowly open on its own. Inside, it was dark. The single bulb buzzed and dimmed, as if it didn't want to reveal what waited inside. The stranger's warning, 300 words. Evan stepped into the restroom, the fluorescent light humming weakly above. The smell hit him first, bleach and rust. One of the stalls was closed, feet visible underneath. He called out, "Hey, man, you good?" No response. Just the low hiss of the light. He went to the urinal, trying to shake off the unease. That's when a voice, hoarse, strained, came from behind the closed stall. "You shouldn't have stopped here." Evan froze midstream. "What?" the man repeated softer. "Get back in your car, now." Evan backed up, eyes darting to the stall. "Look, if you're joking." The stall door creaked open slowly. It was empty. Evan stumbled back toward the exit, but his own shadow wasn't moving with him. It stood still, head turning slightly, even as he stepped into the doorway light. Heart pounding, he bolted outside. The parking lot looked the same, except the white sedan's driver door was now wide open, dome light glowing faintly. Inside sat a man slumped forward, motionless, his hat brim covering his face. Evan took one cautious step closer. The man's head lifted, eyes completely black. "You shouldn't have stopped here." The rest stop repeats, 300 words. Evan sprinted back to his car, fumbling the keys. The engine roared to life, tires spitting gravel as he sped toward the on-ramp. The exit lights behind him flickered, pulsing like a dying heartbeat. His breathing slowed as the highway stretched ahead again. The GPS said the next exit was 12 miles away. He drove in silence until he saw it. Another sign. "Rest area, exit 64. His fingers tightened on the wheel. No way. He had already passed that exit 15 minutes ago. He glanced at the dashboard clock, 10:45 p.m., same time he'd left Raleigh. He drove faster. The forest lining the highway grew denser, black shapes of trees pressing closer. Then he saw it again, the same rusted pickup, the same white sedan idling, the same shadow standing beneath the light. This time the figure turned its head toward him before he even stopped. Evan slammed the car in reverse, engine howling. He tore back down the ramp, panic flooding his veins. But when he reached the highway again, a new sign appeared. "Rest area, exit 64. He screamed, gripping the wheel until his knuckles cracked. He wasn't driving forward anymore. He was caught in a loop, and the shadow was getting closer each time. The old pickup, 300 words. Evan pulled over on the shoulder, chest heaving. The humid air pressed against the windows like a living thing. "This isn't real," he whispered. Then headlights filled his rearview mirror, that old pickup truck from the rest area. Its engine growled low, idling a few feet behind him. A man stepped out. He wore a mechanic's jacket and that same wide-brimmed hat. He didn't walk. He drifted, slow and deliberate, toward Evan's car. Evan threw the car into gear and hit the gas, but his engine sputtered and died. Dashboard lights flickered, then went black. The man's footsteps approached the driver's window. Tap, tap, tap. Evan didn't dare look. The air grew colder, breath misting the glass. Then a distorted voice came through his radio, the same one from the restroom stall. "He took my place, now I take yours." The man's shadow stretched unnaturally long across the pavement, curling around Evan's car like smoke. When he finally glanced up, the man was gone, but his reflection remained in the window, smiling faintly. A sharp jolt rocked the car, as if something massive had climbed onto the roof. Then, silence. The shadow outside the window slid away and vanished. The engine restarted on its own. The radio whispered one word through the static. "Drive." The shadow takes shape. 300 words. Evan's car sped down the highway, lights blurring, tears streaming down his face. The clock still read 10:45 p.m. The GPS spun wildly, showing no roads, no towns, only a single blinking dot labeled U. He glanced at the passenger seat and nearly veered off the road. Someone was sitting there, the man in the hat. Evan's voice broke. "What do you want from me?" The man turned slowly, his face rippling like heat distortion. "You left the door open," he said. "I just needed a ride." Evan screamed and slammed the brakes. The figure vanished, but his hat remained on the seat. When Evan picked it up, it was wet. Dark stains smeared his fingers. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Rest area, exit 64. Up ahead, another blue sign glowed through the mist. His tires squealed as he tried to turn the car around, but the steering locked. The headlights dimmed, and in the reflection of his windshield, his own shadow lifted its head, moving independently. The forever exit, 300 words. Evan's car coasted silently into the same rest area again. The pickup was gone this time. So was the white sedan. The night was perfectly still, no sound, no wind. He stepped out, trembling. His reflection stared at him from the car window, but it wasn't copying him anymore. It smiled when he didn't. The restroom door creaked open. Evan forced himself to look and saw his own body slumped against the sink inside, eyes glazed, skin grey. His shadow stretched from that corpse, reaching toward him across the ground. He stumbled back, whispering, "No, no, no!" But the asphalt softened beneath his shoes like water. His own shadow grabbed his ankles, pulling him down. He clawed at the pavement, screaming as the dark surface swallowed him whole. The world dimmed to static, then silence. Hours later, a passing trucker pulled into exit 64 for a quick stop. He found a car still idling, empty, driver's door open. The radio hissed softly. A familiar voice whispered through static, "You shouldn't have stopped here." The trucker looked up at the restroom wall and froze. A long black shadow stretched across the bricks, shaped exactly like Evan.